So Cloverfield Paradox. This is the third movie in the Cloverfield franchise, and once announced, was basically a surprise Netflix film. And basically, what happened is that during the Super Bowl, a trailer for the third Cloverfield film debuted, and in that like trailer slash commercial, it also said that as soon as the Super Bowl is over, that this third film in the Cloverfield franchise would be available to stream on Netflix, and and that was true. And I watched it right after the Super Bowl. And before I get into that, I just want to talk about the first two Cloverfield movies really quickly. The first Cloverfield movie I think is good. It's not like amazing, but it definitely is better than a lot of people are saying it is. Um, I personally really like it. It's not amazing, but I really like it. The second Cloverfield movie, 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think that that is absolutely incredible, save for the ending. I don't hate the ending, but it does feel a little out of place. But the rest of the movie is absolutely amazing. I actually recommend that you watch it. If you have Amazon Prime or Hulu, you can stream it on both of those streaming services now. So let's talk about this third Cloverfield movie, which is on Netflix right now. So this movie, unfortunately, feels like a ripoff of that movie Life, that alien movie in space with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Gosling, which in turn is a ripoff of Alien, and you all know what Alien is. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, this movie is not very good. There is a lot of like bad things in it. There are a couple of good things which I'll get into later, but first let me talk about all the bad things. Um, One of the biggest flaws of this movie is the script. The dialogue is 80% exposition. Like it's just it doesn't feel natural. It just like I will get into this later. The actors, they do try their best, but unfortunately, just this dialogue is just really bad. Um, so basically, what this movie is about is that the Earth is running out of energy, and basically there are all these blackouts happening and riots and um, wars between countries. And with the exception of the short scene in the beginning, you don't really know or get the sense that the Earth is in danger. This is all before, like, the monster attacks. Oh yeah, and also, and this movie isn't necessarily a prequel to the first Cloverfield movie. It happens sort of during the first Cloverfield movie, but I'll get into that later, without spoiling anything, of course. But yeah, so there's no real sense that there's any danger. There's no real, and you don't see any of these riots or wars happening. It's just being told on like news, on fictional like news videos or whatever. Um, Along with the scripts, the directing is surprisingly like subpar. Like I was expecting this movie to be actually pretty well directed, because the first two movies are actually really well directed, but the directing is really like subpar. Just the pacing and like the choices that are being made. And this movie's biggest weakness is that it's connected to Cloverfield in the first place. So if you guys don't know, 10 Cloverfield Lane and this movie, they were originally different scripts, completely different sci-fi movies. But then producer J.J. Abrams found these scripts, and he was like, you know what? Let's make these connected to Cloverfield. And it did kind of work in 10 Cloverfield Lane, but in this movie, it really doesn't work. I think that like literally the only connection is that the name of the ship in which our main characters are on is called Cloverfield, Cloverfield Station. Um, and yeah, that is the biggest flaw of this movie, is that this movie is supposed to answer a lot of questions about what the mystery that's been building in the first two Cloverfield movies. And this movie like actually ends up like raising more questions and answering. And I heard that they are doing a fourth movie, so maybe the questions will be answered in that movie. Um, but I honestly like in terms of like the Cloverfield lore or canon, I finished the movie feeling more confused than satisfied. And also, there are a lot of weird things that happens in this movie, which I won't spoil. I'm just gonna mention one thing, which is kind of a spoiler. So, if you want to fast forward, go ahead. But I don't really consider that much of a spoiler. So, the whole movie takes place on this like spaceship, and one of the astronauts gets really sick and dies. And there's this part where he dies because he somehow ingested all these like worms, and there's a scene where he like throws up all these worms and like he's puking blood and guts right before he dies, and it's never explained. Like this, it's a really gross and confusing moment, and you think that it's going to be explained later on, but they never do. There's also this thing with this detached arm that's never explained. Um, so yeah, so just the fact that this movie is connected to Cloverfield in the first place makes is its biggest flaw. Like I thought the movie would have been fine if it wasn't connected at all, but because it is, it just feels really really weak. Besides that, there is a bit of issue with the pacing. This movie does feel rushed and really slow at the same time. There are a few, just like how this movie's biggest weakness is that fact that it's connected to Cloverfield. Because of that, there are a bunch of continuity errors with all three movies. Also, there's this subplot with these characters. Michael, who is the husband of our main character, Ava Hamilton, and he finds this little girl named Molly. Pretty much every scene with them is pointless. Like, you could cut it out, and the movie would have been still the same. Um, let's talk about the good about this movie. The acting. It's great. It's pretty good. The actors like they really like try with this subpar script, and they really do like try to flesh out their characters and deliver good performances. There's a nice homage in the very beginning of the movie to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Um, I don't know exactly how to like describe it. Like it's basically just like the planets, the camera panning over these planets, and then the sun is revealed. Just watch it and you'll see. There is a unique in the opening credits. There's a unique way of showing the passage of time through like edits and all that to show like how long these people, Ava and the other main characters, have been on the spaceship. Um, that's really it. Like I can't really think of anything else to say about this movie. There's a scene involving the main character Ava and her children. She basically sees her children alive, and basically what happens. It's explained in the beginning of the movie that Ava and Michael had two kids, but then they both died in that fire that Ava accidentally caused, and there's a scene where Ava like sees them alive. I'm not gonna explain like how it's possible because I don't want to go into spoilers. Um, but that was a really good emotional scene, and the score by Bear McCreary is pretty good as well. And one more good thing about this movie, the marketing. It is so clever. Like, um, having debuting the trailer during the Super Bowl, and then saying that as soon as the Super Bowl's over, the movie will be available on Netflix. I think then in that way, the 40 whatever million people that are watching a Super Bowl right after, they'll go straight to Netflix and then watch this film. That's actually really clever um, marketing. So yeah, so unfortunately, clever marketing does not equal a good film, and this film was not good at all. And yeah, so unfortunately, this film really just I really was not impressed with it at all. I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 10. All right, so thank you for watching. I have a lot of videos planned, and they are taking a while to make, so they may not be out for a while, but I do hope to have them up as soon as possible. If not, thank you for being patient with me. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.